Stage 1 of the Crow Race. It's the 8th edition here, and we're heading from Primošten alongside this beautiful coast. As the riders all line up in Primošten, ahead of the start, getting underway. At 12:25 local time, they'll have 5.5 kilometers of neutral. And as you can see, the riders all very relaxed, enjoying the defending champion team, Mati Mohoric, Ineos Grenadiers with Luke Clapp and Luke Rowe on the left-hand side. As the whistle is blown and they roll out of Primošten, the host town of Stage 1. We take a look at the profile of the course. You can see we get underway from Primošten. They follow the coastal road all the way to Šibenik, the first intermediate sprint, before taking on those two King of the Mountains, heading to Split, where they'll have the second intermediate sprint of the day. The race director blows the whistle, waves the flag, and racing is officially underway. It's 12:40 local time, and immediately it's Dylan Hopkins of Ljubljana Gusto Santic, the Australian rider, who wants to try and force a move here. And for Ljubljana Gusto Santic, they're always a team who are very animated. They're always wanting to try and get into the breakaways, wanting to be the real protagonists. They're heading for the first intermediate sprint. They're heading to Šibenik, and this is the old city. Take a look down at the cathedrals. Šibenik, one of the only places in Croatia to have two UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We'll go through the intermediate sprint, of course, picking up points for that blue points jersey. They'll be taken at the intermediate sprints and on the finish line. It's Mateusz Grabis who takes the 5, Bevilacqua taking the 3, and Raul Garcia Pierna taking the one sole remaining point in that intermediate sprint. Gap at 2 minutes and 38 seconds, inside 80 kilometers to go. We're heading for Scene. It's the location of our finishing town, and the 5 riders in the breakaway. As we take a look at how relaxed and controlled things are in the peloton. It's made up of Simone Bevilacqua. We've also got Raul Garcia Pierna. As we take a look at the results of the first King of the Mountain of the day, it was Schuren taking the 3, Bevilacqua taking the 2. Ravasi taking the 1 point. The peloton make their way down the highway and they're heading to Split. This is the main road into Split. You'd say really almost a motorway that takes the riders into Croatia's second largest city.
Close to them.
You can see this arrowhead-shaped peloton. Out front, the 5 riders get themselves set, and in 700 meters, they'll get to the intermediate sprint of the day. Previously, it was Mateusz Grabis who took the maximum points in the first intermediate sprint. He'll be looking to try and add more points to his classification. Leading the way at the moment is Bevilacqua in the sky blue jersey of Violo Cometa. In the wheel, it's Raul Garcia Pierna. Then we see Mateusz Grabis in the centre with the white and lime green jersey. In his wheel, we've got Michael Schuren, and at the back is Eduardo Ravazzi. But the first rider to try and go for the maximum points into Split, it is the rider, the Polish rider Mateusz Grabis, who's looking to try and add 5 points to his tally. He goes through the intermediate sprint in Split. He takes the 5 points and the 3 bonus seconds. Raul Garcia Pierna taking the 3 and the 2 bonus seconds, with Bevilacqua taking the 1 point and the 1 bonus second. And here are the results. Mateusz Grabis taking the 5, Raul Garcia Pierna taking the 3, and Bevilacqua taking the 1 sole remaining point in Split. Edward Ravazzi, the Italian rider for Hrinko Adbrix, is starting to go early, and this is an interesting move from the Italian because he's a good climber in his own right, but this is early to try and go and take the points available. Just sitting on his wheel is Michal Schuren, the rider from Czechia. Following there is Bevilacqua, and Raul Garcia Piena nor Edward Ravasi can follow the move at the front. Raul Garcia Piena not interested in the points for the King of the Mountains. He's there to try and take a look for the stage. He leaves the two to fight it out for the maximum points, but it seems as though Bevilacqua is going to crest the top of this King of the Mountain. He's going to go across the line any moment now. Here we see this climb, 7.5 kilometers long. It's Bevilacqua who takes the 6 points on this second category, King of the Mountain. Raul Garcia Piena gets himself set up for the sprint. He gets himself on the drops. He's just waiting towards the back, and you can see there the indication that the road is bearing to the right here at the roundabout. And here Schuren wants to try and get the jump on Bevilacqua. Coming into the barriers, and he wants to try and take the maximum points. They come into what is normally their home straight for the Alca tournament, and here we see Schuren wanting to try and take the maximum points in the intermediate sprint. Raul Garcia Piena trying to challenge, but the rider from Czechia has dominance in the intermediate sprint. 5 points into the pocket of Schuren, as we see the cannon be let off at the top of the fortress here in the town. There's the results of the intermediate sprint into scene. It's Michal Schuren taking the 5, Raul Garcia Piena with the 3. 6.8 kilometers remaining. It is Luc Plapp on the front for the Ineos Grenadiers, the Australian champion, Mirko Maestri alongside him. And Mirko Maestri looking to set up Giovanni Lunardi, and there's a big touch of wheels, and there's several riders down. This is a big crash, and outside of that 3 kilometer to go marker, these riders are going to have to, as long as they're okay, get themselves back on the bike. Mati Mohoric, the defending champion of the CroRace, has been caught up in the crash. He's come down, and now this is all about limiting the losses. Here's Yuri Leitão. Yuri Leitão, who's a terrific track rider. The Portuguese from Carreral Seguros is looking to try and lead Luis Olar, the Venezuelan road race champion, to a stage victory into scene. He's currently looking, where is his sprinter? He's a long way back, and now we start to see Tobias Lund, who moves his way up onto the wheel of Elia Viviani. Alexander Kristoff is there for Uno X, and Connor Swift is burying himself to try and lead his sprinter. Here goes the sprint from Elia Viviani. Viviani looking to try and take the stage victory. Lund is trying to challenge at the moment, but now here comes Viviani. It's going to be close on the line, and Viviani picks up where he left off last year in Zagreb. He opens up his first victory of the season. Elia Viviani wins the stage ahead of Andreasen and Kristoff. Campbell Stewart taking 4th, Lunardi in 5th. Borati, Padasini, Petrus, Govakar and Steininger rounding out the top 10. And Elia Viviani leads and will wear the red jersey tomorrow with 4 seconds of an advantage over Andreasen, 6 on Kristoff with 10. It was 359 days since Elia Viviani last took a stage victory. That was on the 6th and final stage of the CroRace. That was last year. Today, he's got another opportunity. Having won stage 1 yesterday, he's got an opportunity from Bayagrad Namoru as we head towards Navalia, 114.5 kilometers. The riders just getting themselves lined up, waiting and ready. We expect these two teams to be very active and be big protagonists at the start of the stage. He's looking nice and relaxed. I'm sure everyone would be after waiting 359 days, and as a sprinter, a long time to wait for a stage victory. .2:26 local time, the race flag is waved by the race director. The car pulls away, and immediately there's attacks from the front and the head of the peloton. Is ATT Investments in that red? blue faded jersey who are trying to get themselves involved. Also Maloya push bikers. They missed the breakaway yesterday. They'll be looking to try and make amends today. Also Caja Seguros with 2 riders, as are Ljubljana Gusto Santic in the gold and black. It's all come back together as we see the Roman Forum and the Church of Saint Donatus. This is in Zadar, in that city. We had a stage finish there last year, if you remember. It was a photo finish coming through to the intermediate sprint, and it's almost like a photo finish for the intermediate sprint points. It was close on the line. Christian Koren is one of the 4 riders who is in this breakaway. He's the former Slovenian national road race champion. Here we see the results. It's Kaspar who takes the 5, Koren with the 3, Ante Skok in that gold and black jersey of Ljubljana Gusto Santic, who picks up the 1 remaining point, and of course 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds. Now we start the 3rd category climb up to Jovichti. This is the first King of the Mountain of the day. It's a 3rd categorised climb. It's 7.5 kilometres long, an average gradient of a very modest 2%. Maximum gradient along the way is 6.2. Pro and Ineos Grenadiers got things well under control, 1 minute and 50 seconds. Very soon, and they can just almost see the line up ahead. There we go, you can see where the King of the Mountain is, and now it's Jan Kaspar. The Czech rider starts to open things up, and he's immediately tracked by Marvin Hammerschmidt in the lime green. This is going to be close for the King of the Mountain sprints. It's going to be a lunge for the line. Oh, that was close. As we see the results, Hammerschmidt taking the 3, it was Kaspar taking the 2, Koren taking the sole remaining point in the King of the Mountain points. Inside 50 kilometres to go, the advantage at 1 minute and 20 seconds as they go across the bridge that connects the mainland to the island of Pag. It's the former Slovenian road race champion, Christian Koren, who drives things at the front, and he is one of the most experienced, he is one of the strongest. He's got so many years in the pro peloton in the legs. 47 seconds, it's Lidl Track who are on the front. We're heading towards the next intermediate sprint of the day. A few hundred metres to get there, and Christian Koren is looking for some time bonuses. There's 3 seconds on offer, but there's also 5 points in the points classification. They go across the bridge that connects the islands together. In the wheel, it's Marvin Hammerschmidt in the lime green. Just on the back, it's Jan Kaspar. They've got a roaring tailwind here, and Christian Koren goes through the intermediate sprint. He's not challenged, and Christian Koren takes the 5 points and the 3 bonus seconds. And there we see the results of the intermediate sprint. Koren taking 5, Hammerschmidt with 3, Kaspar with 1. There's nothing left for the peloton to pick up, but they're too heading for the next King of the Mountain of the day. But what has Kaspar got left in the legs? Has he got anything left? He's only a few hundred metres from cresting the top of this category climb, and he makes an acceleration. He's going to try and deny the peloton from taking the 6 points at the top of this King of the Mountain. He really wants to try and take something away from being in the breakaway. He doesn't want to go away empty-handed. Jan Kaspar goes across the line. He takes the maximum points of the day. It's 6 points on this second category climb up to Pag. And now the points behind for this King of the Mountain will be fought for by the peloton. "22 kilometres remaining on stage 2 of the Crow race, and we're heading for our finish line, and that's at Navalia. There we see the results. Kaspar taking the 6, Connor Swift taking the 4, and it's Jonas Gregard who takes the 2 points for Uno X. 5.5 kilometres to go, and we're onto the circuit. They'll cross the finish line for the first time with 4.5 kilometers remaining, and now they get a look at what will be the Flamme Rouge in 4 kilometers time. Magnus Sheffield on the front, and now they get a little look at what they'll be experiencing. There's points on offer at this intermediate sprint into Nivalier, and UNOX Pro Cycling want the points, they want the bonus seconds, but as does Ethan Hayter. Here comes Fran Miholjevic, Roger Adria also with a little acceleration, as now Gregard starts to open up, and he wants to try and take the bonus seconds for the overall general classification. It's going to be tight on the line. It's a little throw to the air for Ethan Hayter. Not happy with something there at the intermediate sprint, but the remaining riders here in the peloton, they hear the bell. It's 4.1 kilometers remaining. Ethan Hayter with a little acceleration, but realizes that his sprinter, Elia Viviani, isn't there as we see the results of the intermediate sprint. It's Gregard who takes the 5, Adria with the 3, with Ethan Hayter taking the 1. Now the attention turns with 1.3 kilometers until we get to Nivalier, to that finish line. Ethan Hayter on the front, and there is the rider Fran Miholjevic and also Mati Mohoric. They've got Barati on the wheel and Govakar is there. Here comes Yuri Letau, and Alexander Kristoff has got a brilliant and perfect lead out on the right-hand side of the screen. They're coming in and it's 500 meters to go. Where is Campbell Stewart? He's got himself blocked on the right-hand side of the barriers. Team DSM Firmenich take it up. They've got Tobias Andreasen on the wheel, and here comes the white jersey. Yesterday it was second. Can the Dane try and deliver a victory? Here starts to open up Bahrain Victorious, but here comes Letau, and Christoph lets it go. He opens the door, and the Portuguese rider from Carural is taking advantage. Yuri Letau is going to the line, and he's trying to take the victory. Elia Viviani coming up late, but it's going to be all but too late, and Yuri Letau wins into Nivalier. That was a masterclass from Yuri Letau. He wins ahead of Elia Viviani, Alexander Kristoff, Tinton Teutenberg getting up for 4th, with Lenari, Andreasen, Govakar, Fortin, Proc and Aular. Elia Viviani continues to lead the red jersey as the leader of the Crow race ahead of Yuri Letau and Alexander Kristoff. Stage 3 of the Crow race here in the 8th edition, and we're heading from Otocats. The finish line on the coast in Apatia, 133.5 kilometers of racing, 1,700 meters of elevation. This is Otocats, our starting town. Riders getting underway. They'll roll out for the neutralized section at 20 past 2 local time. 20 past 1 local time.
Ethiopia, Haile Michael Dakle.
All smiles yesterday after his stage victory, Yuri Letau. It was a dominant performance yesterday, beating the man in the middle there, Elia Viviani, who currently leads the overall general classification. A great reception in Otocats from the Republic and all of the fans at the roadside. They roll out, it's 20 past 1 local time. They've got 2.5 kilometers of neutral. There is Michael Schuren, the leader in the King of the Mountains competition from ATT Investment. They get themselves set, they get themselves ready. Blue skies, it's 25 to 28 degrees out there today. This is a little look at the course from Otocats. They go through the first King of the Mountain very early, heading to Novi Vinodolski, that's the intermediate sprint. They get to the second categorized climb before heading to Rijeka at the coast, before finishing in Opatia with 2 King of the Mountains, 1 intermediate sprint, as the race director blows the whistle, waves the flag, and immediately there's action at the head of the peloton, and it's the team in lime green, Team Rinko Adverix, with Concher, the Austrian rider, who's adamant to try and split things up. A big move on the right-hand side from the current King of the Mountains leader, Michal Schuren. The rider from Czechia takes a look over his left-hand shoulder. It's all back together, and immediately we see more attacks trying to go up the road. This looks like the rider from Vostar ATS. As we come towards the top of this rise, the peloton come towards the top of the climb. It's Hammerschmidt at the king of the mountain who takes 3. Hopkins taking 2, with Konstanski taking the 1 point at the top of that king of the mountain. We take a look over these magnificent views of the region. 66 kilometers remain, 5 riders are in the breakaway. This is the makeup of the break. 2 riders from Vostar ATS, Konstanski and Rudik. Dylan Hopkins is here for Ljubljana Gusto Santic. Marvin Hammerschmidt from Team Hrinko Adverix in the full lime green jersey. They're joined by Philip Weber, the rider from Maloya Pushbike, as you can see here, the 25-year-old German rider. Marvin Hammerschmidt coming to the top of this King of the Mountain, this second category, and he wants the big points on the road. Dylan Hopkins trying to challenge, but it's Marvin Hammerschmidt, the Austrian from Linz, who will take the 6 points in that classification. 4 points to Dylan Hopkins, and the 2 points will be fought for the remaining trio behind. It's Ineos Grenadiers who lead the way, followed by Bahrain Victorious. Uno X just behind them in the red and almost yellowy orange jerseys. There's Alexander Kristoff in the blue jersey, with Quinn Simmons, the USA road race champion, moving up for Lidl Trek. Inside 40 kilometers remaining, the gap just over the 30-second marker. And still Luke Plapp on the front, who's leading the way, and we still have our breakaway who have their advantage of Hammerschmidt, Hopkins, Weber, Konstanski and Rudik. The 3 who trail behind are about to be caught by the peloton. They realise that their day is done. They take all impetus out of their chase. They swing across to the right-hand side of the road, and the peloton will be there. Rudik, more of a pure sprinter who has the capabilities to climb. Hopkins on the right-hand side on the gold bike. He's more of a pure climber. He's a good time trialist as he just injects a little bit more pace, and that puts Bartosz Rudiek into all sorts of difficulty. And now you can see it's starting to be laboured, and he can't quite match the pace of Dylan Hopkins. Hopkins goes alone, and he's got 35.9 kilometers to go until he gets to the finish. It's still Plapp on the front. 45 seconds is the advantage for our lone leader out front, Dylan Hopkins. Bahrain Victorious line up behind the Ineos Grenadiers champion. Just behind that, you've got Uno X. There is the YOLO Comet you can see in those sky blue jerseys, followed by Lidl Trek. And the man from Canberra who decided to take a brave move, take a brave flyer off the front. His day is almost about to come to an end. The day in the breakaway, it was a strong one, and Dylan Hopkins showed his promise. Equipo Kern Farmer come alongside Luke Plapp, and there's a little bit of discussion there between Raul Garcia Piana and Luke Plapp. The teams start to form their lead-out trains. Inside 30 kilometers to go. They're heading for that intermediate sprint that comes with 22.5 kilometers remaining. And Fran Mihaljevic, who knows these roads so well, has decided he wants to take it up at the front. You take a look at how strung out the peloton is, and there's around 300 meters from the front of the peloton to the rear. If you're out of position now, where are you going to be able to make up that deficit? Mihaljevic just saying to Luke Rowe and the riders behind, take off some speed. He's using his knowledge to try and pass on to the other riders here in the peloton. It's so tight at the top of the standings for that general classification, as now we see the arrival of Elia Viviani start to peep through. Will they sprint for these bonus seconds? With a Queen stage coming tomorrow, they could prove to be vital. It starts to become vocal. And the big point on the road is with 11.5 kilometers to go, where they'll take a right-hand turn and they'll start that King of the Mountain. Uno-X are there with two riders as they both pull the parachute and they hand over to their leaders. Magnus Sheffield with Alexander Kristoff on the wheel. There is Nicola Barati. Quinn Simmons tries to move himself to the front, as does Tobias Andreasen. Oscar Onley is there, as is Patrick Eddy. Sheffield holds the tempo. Alongside him is Quinn Simmons. A little bit further back is Eddie Dunbar of Jayco Alula. As Oscar Onley goes across the top of the King of the Mountain, he takes the 3 points. The stage 3 results in that third King of the Mountain. It's Eddie, they're saying, but it was Onley who took the 3 points ahead of Sheffield and Simmons into this run-in. This is a crucial part with this left-hand hairpin. It's the Ineos Grenadiers round. There's Alois Aular in the yellow jersey. Connor Swift sprints out of the corner with Sheffield on the wheel. There's Alois Aular, and Aular is looking for time and he's looking for points. As Sheffield shuts the door, Alois Aular tries to come through, and he's coming with a lot more speed. Aular takes it comfortably. He takes the 5 points and the 3 bonus seconds ahead of the Ineos Grenadier duo. Over the top of the finish line, and Fran Mihaljevic, the local rider, the Croatian from Bahrain Victorious, has decided he wants to try and take a flyer. There's no immediate reaction from behind. The intermediate sprint, Aular takes the first position, with the Ineos Grenadier duo settling for second and third. 4.8 kilometers to go, and in a couple of 100 meters, as we see the Ineos Grenadiers leader, Elia Viviani, who leads the overall classification here at the Crow Race, he's done his job to try and bring back Mihaljevic, and his day is done, and he'll be saying goodbye to the red jersey. Mihaljevic is caught, and Quinn Simmons immediately reacts. This is all about the stage victory. They're heading for that left-hand hairpin. There is Mati Mohoric. In his wheel, he's got Barati. And this is a big sprint now. Segabu Gamay, the rider from Ethiopia for Jayco Alula, is trying to bring through Campbell Stewart. Tobias Andreasen is there, Pavel Bidner is there, as now Mati Mohoric wants to try and take the second wheel as Aular tries to dive bomb the inside, but it's Pavel Bidner who has the pole position. Pavel Bidner leads through that final left-hand turn. He opens up the sprint immediately, and now he's looking for the victory. There is Andreasen, Mohoric looking for the stage victory. 100 meters to go, but here comes Parasini, the Italian coming. He's coming through fast, and Parasini, the rider from Q36.5, takes his first pro victory. What a performance from the young Italian. Nicola Parasini. Look at the emotion on the face of the Italian. 7th win of the year is Parasini who delivers ahead of Andreasen. Mohoric taking 3rd with Bidnar in 4th. Tobias Andreasen takes the lead in the general classification, 2 seconds ahead of Nicolo Parasini. Alexander Kristoff in 3rd, with Alois Aular taking 4th so far. Stage 4 of the Crow Race, and it's the Queen stage. We're getting underway from the island of Kirk, and they're heading to Labine, where we had last year's Queen Stage 2. 191 kilometers of racing, 3,650 meters of elevation. A wonderful morning for the children to be inspired by these riders here as they all come to the sign-on in Kirk. There's Tim Ton, Teutenberg on the left-hand side. Bahrain Victorious will be looking to try something today for that general classification. The white tape is cut. The local dignitaries welcome a stage to the island of Kirk as they get underway at 11:45 local time. There's our new leader in the general classification, Tobias Lund Andreasen. Luke Rowe is all in good spirits today from the Ineos Grenadiers. There is their provisional leader in the general classification. He also leads that points classification too. It's been borrowed on the shoulders of Elia Viviani as we take a look at today's stage. Getting underway on the island of Kirk, they make their way across the Kirk Bridge. Over into Rijeka, they'll take on the intermediate sprint at Vyškovo before heading to that all-category climb and finishing in Labin. After 3 kilometers of neutral, it's 11:50 local time and racing is underway. And the first team and the first rider to make a move is Dylan Hopkins of Ljubljana Gusto Santic. Yesterday, this man was very active and attentive. He was in the breakaway and he's looking to try and do the same again today. We go through the first intermediate sprint at Malinska. It's Mirko Maestri who takes the 5, Johan Abrahamsen. Jonas Abrahamsen who took the 3 with Michael Schuren taking the 1. This is the Kirk Bridge. It's just over 1,000 meters long. You can see the peloton in one long line making their way across this bridge that was built in the 1980s. One lone leader out front. His 2 breakaway companions, Michael Schuren and Mirko Maestri, have been distanced, and that's 20 points in that all-category climb on Poklon to Jonas Abrahamsen. He takes 20 ahead of Schuren with 15, Maestri on 10, Rapp taking 8 with Jul Jensen 6, Dunbar Porter and Dalby rounding out those points in that all-category King of the Mountain. As we go live and we take a look at this reduced peloton, and there's been plenty of damage that has been done on the roads as we're into the region of Istria. 26 degrees out there, an easterly wind, 7 kilometers per hour. Unlike the last few days, the wind not having a huge impact in what could potentially happen on today's stage. This is where we are on the course. So we take a look at the profile. We've got an all-category climb, a first cat, 2 third category climbs and that second category climb. And we're at the base of that first categorized climb up to Africi. 5 kilometers long with an average gradient of 4.2%. Look at the damage that they've done so far. This is a little look at this King of the Mountain up to Africi. Maximum gradients, and it's really the top part of this climb where it's at its most difficult, 18%. As we see Fran Miholjevic of Borin Victorious making his way back to the peloton. Just in front of him there is Ethan Hayter, number 11. Alongside him is Alexander Christoph. Uno X gets swamped. Here comes Team DSM Firmenich, and they're looking to try and take the bonus seconds here in Pasin. This is a full-blown lead out to try and take the points and to try and take the seconds. Borin Victorious are there, Uno X are there, and here comes the team of Equipo Kern Pharma. Coming out on the left-hand side, Barati trying to take points, as is Parasini, yesterday's stage winner. 3 riders throw to the line with Ethan Hayter down the centre. That's going to be a photo finish, and it's going to be a close call for who got the 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds. One thing's for certain, Parasini is wanting the overall general classification. There's Niccolo Burati, the 22-year-old Italian. He came into the day 9th overall at 12 seconds. And we've got that second categorised climb that's 5.5 kilometres long, and it gives the squad of Jayco Alula a really good chance to tear things apart. Jonas Rapp, Jakob Primozic, Eduardo Ravazzi, all within this group in the lime green jerseys, as now with an acceleration of pace, Jonas Rapp, the German rider, goes across the line. He takes the 3 points in that King of the Mountain. He's picked up big points today, the German. Well, there's time to reassess the situation. Jonas Rapp takes the 3, Abrahamsen taking the 2 points with Chris Jensen picking up the sole remaining point in that King of the Mountain, that third category, up to Lindard. And the next point on the road is the next King of the Mountain, and that comes with 16 kilometers to go when they get to the base of that climb. And so teams have got to assess the situation here. We're on to the penultimate King of the Mountain of the day. We're heading for Labine and the first passage of our finish line. This climb, however, it's a second category, 5.5 kilometers long with an average gradient of 4.3%. It maxes out at the top of the climb, and that's when we get towards the finish line at 10.7%. Gamay is throwing the kitchen sink at this one. This is a terrific performance from this rider on the front to try and set something up from the Irish rider Eddie Dunbar. 1.5 kilometers to go. That's where they're heading for, the top there in Labine. They round the right-hand turn and they're immediately onto the cobbles, and this is where a lot of damage can be done. There's points available, 6, 4 and 2 points in the King of the Mountains competition, as now here comes Equipo Kern Farmer. Dunbar finds himself on the front. There is Magnus Sheffield. Only wrong side him, there is Luke Plapp. Matthew Dinham sitting in fourth wheel currently. This is very much about trying to split this group. Dunbar accelerates once again, and here goes Onley on the left-hand side. Onley injects some pace onto the cobbles. Sheffield is feeling confident. He's able to follow each and every one of these accelerations here as Luke Plapp comes towards the front to try and install a little bit of calm back into this group. Roger Adria comes through in the dark green jersey. He hears the bell lap. 10.5 kilometers remain after 4.5 hours of racing. We've got around 30 riders remaining in this front peloton. We click through 10 kilometers to go. It was Roger Adria who took the points ahead of Plapp and Onley in that second categorized climb.
Stoppen met trappen, stoppen.
And here comes the acceleration. The teams get their lead out set. 1 kilometer remains under the Flamme Rouge, under the red kite, and now they have to try and fight for that right-hand turn. Barring victorious get themselves set. Rainer Kaplinger, Niccolo Barati, all trying to keep the pace high. There's Ethan Hayter. Hayter protecting Sheffield. Trying to come through. Connor Swift, his day is done. Trying to move forward is Otruba. Otruba, the rider from the Continental team on the left-hand side, is trying to challenge for the stage victory. Here comes Oscar Onley with Christoph alongside him. Roger Adria of Equipo Kern Farmer is there and he's waiting to pounce, but with a big acceleration of pace. Here goes Matti Mohoric on the left-hand side. What has Magnus Sheffield got, and can Ethan Hayter respond here? Or Luis Aular is starting to get himself boxed in on the right-hand side. He can't quite find his way through, but he tries to follow the Slovenian rider. But here comes Roger Adria. Matti Mohoric is looking for a stage victory. He's trying to win the Queen stage, but he's got big competition from Sheffield. Adria pulls the foot, and it's going to be Matti Mohoric who wins the Queen stage at the Crow Race. Matti Mohoric has turned things around. He wins the stage ahead of Sheffield Aulard. Magnus Sheffield now goes into the lead, 1 second ahead of Alois Aulard. 4-2 Ethan Hayter. Parasini holds fourth. Stage 5 gets us underway from the coastline. Čerkvenica to Adzalje, 189 kilometers long, 2,500 meters of elevation. We're starting from the coast in this beautiful area. A nice photo opportunity for the riders, and here the riders come to the sign-on here at the start town. There's yesterday's stage winner on the Queen stage. Here he is, Mati Mohoric. He became the king on the Queen stage. Well, let's have a little look at what is in store for the riders after they get underway. They head from Črkvinica on the coast. They make their way from the coast inland. They head into a headwind on that first categorised climb before descending their way onto the plateau. But don't underestimate the back end of the stage as the flag is waved. It's 10:10 local time, and once again it's Dylan Hopkins, the 22-year-old Australian rider from Ljubljana, Kusto-Santik, who has decided he wants to try and have a slice of the cake in the breakaway today. Jonas Rapp taking the 12 ahead of Miholjevic, Shurin, Sovinski, Samson taking 2. The one and only king of the mountain of today's stage. Jonas Rapp virtually moves himself into the lead of the King of the Mountains competition. Here he is on the back in the lime green jersey. Jonas Rapp, the German rider, the 29-year-old from Rickenhausen. Driving things on the front is the home rider, Fran Miholjevic of Bahrain Victorious. There's the results of the intermediate sprint. It's Fran Miholjevic who takes the 5 and the 3 bonus seconds ahead of Sovinski and Rapp. 1 minute and 53 with 63.2 kilometers remaining. He's done well today, Fran Miholjevic, picking up points in each of every one of the intermediate sprints. Dugo Racer, it was the same composition. There's Magnus Sheffield, our leader. Alois Aular glued to his wheel. Just alongside him is Jonas Abrahamson, and in front of that is Christian Hocevar. Inside 40 kilometers to go. They'll enter the lap with 18.5 kilometers remaining. Jonas Rapp pulls over to the right-hand side, and this is a big attack from Fran Miholjevic. A big move from the home rider. He's the individual time trial champion of his nation. He knows what it takes to be able to hold an effort on his own. Miholjevic hears the bell. 45 seconds is his advantage with 18 kilometers remaining. He's gone over the little peaks, the difficult points on the lap. Could he try to outwit the peloton behind? It's being led by Uno X in the red jerseys. They've got Alexander Kristoff, who's made his way over the climbs. It's not been easy, as you see Luke Plapp gasping for air. The peloton get the bell. 50 seconds is the deficit. It was a brave, valiant effort from Fran Miholjevic. He took his opportunity. Bahrain Victorious trying to shake things up. But with 13.7 kilometers remaining, it's all back together. 2.6 kilometers remain. The final left-hand corner will come. This is going to be crucial. The final turn coming with 800 meters to go. Joshua Tarling, the European time trial champion, gets himself on the front. Here goes Mati Mohoric. He's done his job for the day. Leading through is the squad of Ineos Grenadiers, and there's a big crash, and that's the leader of the overall. That's Magnus Sheffield, who's come down. What on earth happened there? He's back on his feet, but he won't be challenging for the bonus seconds or the stage victory. Connor Swift leading out. He's looking after Ethan Hayter. There sitting in second wheel is Alexander Kristoff, the Venezuelan road race champion on the right-hand side in the yellow jersey. Trying to move himself up is Lenardi. Here comes Tim Thorn Teutenberg. Borati is right in the frame, as is Andreasen. Tim Thorn Teutenberg down the centre of the road. The man from Cologne, who's a stagiaire for Lidl Trek, is looking for his first pro victory, but he's going to be denied because it's going to go to the Venezuelan road race champion. Alois Aular gets his first victory on European soil. Alois Aular wins stage 5 into Azalier ahead of Kristoff. Ethan Hayter taking third. Viviani takes fourth. And this is what it's done to the overall general classification. Alois Aular now takes the hold of the red jersey. He leads 9 seconds and ahead of the duo from the Ineos Grenadiers, Ethan Hayter and Magnus Sheffield. Christoph has closed in, he's at 12 seconds with Caracini in 5th. We take a look over the capital. This is where they're heading for. Zagreb is the finish line. Stage 6, the 6th and final stage at the 8th edition of the Crow Race, gets underway from Samobor to the capital of Zagreb. 157.5 kilometers of racing, a mere 625 meters of elevation. Yuri Litau just calibrating his power meter. There's the leader. A first look at Alois Aular in the leader's jersey. Big smiles for the 26-year-old Venezuelan. They get themselves underway for stage 6, 2.5 kilometers of neutral. They've rolled out at 11:25 local time. This is what the riders have in store. After 3 kilometers of racing, they'll go through the first intermediate sprint at Sveta Nadalia. The second comes at Dugosello as they head to the King of the Mountain at the most northerly point of today's stage. They're heading for Zagreb, 3 laps of that circuit, a 5-kilometer circuit. And that's where we'll crown our champion. But before we get to that, 157.5 kilometers awaits. Uno-X Pro Cycling swamp the head of the peloton. And now the sprint starts to open up into Sveta Nadalia. Yuri Litau with a big lead out. There is Louis Bendixen. There's Alois Aular in second. He's going to get swamped, and round the right-hand side here is Alexander Kristoff. Trying to move himself forward is David Martin. Here comes Ethan Hayter. He tries to get himself involved as Alexander Kristoff comfortably takes the points in the bonus seconds. He moves himself and in striking distance and is onto the podium. Ethan Hayter taking 2 bonus seconds, Bendixen taking the 1. At Dugosello at the second intermediate sprint, it's Konstanski who's taking it ahead of Alias Turk. Martin Pedersen taking the 1 point and the 1 bonus second. The remaining riders who make up this breakaway, Travis Steadman and Mario Gamper. Fast and furious start, but they've eventually managed to get a lead over the peloton. Enjoy the live images. 5 riders make up the breakaway. Once again, it's Mateusz Konstanski who is in the breakaway. Konstanski there, the Polish rider for Vosta ATS. Steadman is here, the South African road race champion. Alias Turk, the 18-year-old rider. Martin Pedersen, who's a stagiaire for Lidl Trek. There is Mario Gamper, the man from Kitzbühel in Austria. The next point of the day, we'll be heading for the King of the Mountain. They'll crest the top of that with 49.5 kilometers to go. But despite the riding that Uno-X are doing, they've not got any assistance from any other team. 1 minute and 42 seconds as we get to 55 kilometers remaining. We'll get to the base of the King of the Mountain with 51 kilometers to go. Here's the makeup of the breakaway. Steadman on the front, Turk, who you can see here, number 107. Pedersen is here, as is Konstanski and Gamper. Travis Steadman takes the 3 points in the King of the Mountains competition ahead of Mateusz Konstanski. At what point did they ask for assistance? At what point did they ask and do the other teams crumble at the pressure, knowing that they need to try and bring these 5 riders back? There's still plenty of teams who are still searching for a stage victory. Filippo Fortin just going out of shot there for Maloya Push Bikers. Now we see the arrival of Team DSN Firmenich at the front. Jaco Alula likewise. They've put Rudy Porter up towards the front. They enter the lap, the 5 riders in the breakaway. They make the right-hand turn with an advantage of 50 seconds, 16.7 kilometers remain. The peloton entered the lap. It's led in by the Norwegian road race champion Fredrik Vesnes. Martin Pedersen leads the 5 riders in the breakaway across the finish line. They hit 3 laps remaining. There's Alias Turk. Hear the crowds. A spectacular atmosphere for the peloton as they come through the finish line. The 18-year-old Alias Turk has felt the pressure, he's felt the fatigue. He's been mopped up by the peloton. 4 riders remain out front as they pass the water fountains. 37 seconds is the advantage for the break. Travis Steadman driving things on the front. The man who races for the Continental outfit of Q36.5 but is getting his experience. He's having his apprenticeship with the Pro Team outfit here at the Cro Race. He goes across the line. He takes the points and bonus seconds. Nothing left. 2 laps remain, 10 kilometers to go. Where is this going to go? Where will the pendulum swing? Travis Steadman takes the 5 points and the 3 bonus seconds. Martin Pedersen with the 3, Mario Gamper taking the 1. 1 kilometer remains of the 6th and final stage here at the Cro Race. A big acceleration from Luke Rowe. He's trying to lead Ethan Hayter, but here comes the team of Bahrain Victorious. The monster rider from Mati Mohoric with a big acceleration into the finale. Aberastori has the driving seat. It's Bahrain Victorious who follow behind, and they've got the prime set up here. Here comes Mateusz Govakar, and he's been put to the front early. He's looking for Berardi to try and lead him out into the finish. But here comes the leader in the classification. Here's Alois Aulard, and a touch of wheels, and now Alois Aulard has come down. A big bunny hop from Victor Batotsky to avoid that, but here opens up the sprint. Alexander Kristoff is going for the line. Could this be heartbreak? It's Campbell Stewart who wins his first pro victory of his career, wins the stage into Zagreb. Absolute heartbreak for this man. In the prime position. The chain jumped off, he crosses the line on his teammate's bike. Campbell Stewart, he reassessed what he did wrong yesterday. He got himself boxed in, and today it's all about this man. Campbell Stewart wins the 6th and final stage here at the Cro Race. It was close, it was heartbreak, but in the end, Alois Aulard wins the overall general classification here at the Cro Race. There's the stage results. Campbell Stewart taking it ahead of Alexander Kristoff. Gal Glivar getting up there for 3rd. Great result for the 21-year-old Slovenian rider. Parasini denied any bonus seconds, with Andreasen taking 5th. That's how close it was. Alois Aulard, after 22 hours, 59 minutes and 38 seconds, wins 3 seconds ahead of Alexander Kristoff, 7 seconds ahead of Ethan Hayter. Magnus Sheffield dropping off the podium, finishing 4th. Alexander Kristoff wins the blue points classification jersey. He wins ahead of Tobias Andreasen. Alois Aulard taking 3rd. This man knew halfway through the stage he was the victor and the king of the mountains. Jonas Rapp, the man from Rockenhaus in Germany, wins 2 points ahead of Mial Schuren. Jonas Abrahamsen taking 3rd. Gal Glivar, courtesy of his 4 seconds, closes the deficit, but it's not enough to leapfrog Magnus Sheffield in the best young rider classification. Sheffield taking home the white jersey ahead of Glivar and Berardi after a superb Cro Race rounding out the 8th edition.